What's up, traders? Welcome to my Sunday webinar. I hope you guys are having a good weekend. I appreciate you guys hopping on here on your Sunday evening to check out what I have to say for the week. So I'm going to make today very short and sweet. You guys seem to really like to get, I got a lot of likes and a lot of feedback and a lot of really nice comments on last week's Outlook. So it was like a little bit shorter, but still really informational and valuable. So I want to make sure that I give you guys a lot of information and a lot of value today. So I definitely think I can provide that. Do me a huge favor if you guys are watching live right now, or if you're even watching the recording, do me a huge favor before we get started and smash the like button. It's crazy. We are getting closer. It seems like every week we're breaking our like goal. So it's really cool to see this community growing and a lot of you guys liking the information that I have to say. But anyways, the only announcement that I have before we get started, if you guys check the link in the description below, I am holding an event out here in Phoenix the first weekend in August. You can click the link below if you are interested about it. It's going to be limited spots. It's going to be a very small group type thing, but there's some more information in the link in the description. But yeah, I hope you guys are all having a good week. I hope you guys are ready to kill it this week, and I just want to just jump right into things. So start, and also, hey everybody, what's up in the chat? I see a lot of people saying what's up, and so I hope you guys all had a great weekend. I know that the markets have been moving pretty nicely. You know, we've been seeing some pretty decent moves. So yeah, let's just jump into everything, okay? So just a little bit of a recap. If you remember last week, I'm just going to quickly pull up last week's economic calendar and just quickly scroll through it. A lot of stuff last week, right? What do we have last week? We had some GDP that came out, some final GDP quarter over quarter that came out. So quarter one GDP that came out for the US dollar. We saw an interest rate decision from the RBNZ for the New Zealand dollar. We saw Mr. Powell from the Federal Reserve speak on the US dollar. So there was a lot of things that happened last week, markets, but surprisingly, the markets didn't move a whole lot. And that's what we're going to look at in just a moment. Now, this week, there's not a lot. There is an interest rate decision on Monday that I want you guys to be aware of. Now, the Reserve Bank of Australia, we know that they've been talking about cutting interest rates. They also just recently cut interest rates. If you just look right here, the last time they cut interest rates was right here, June 3rd. So just earlier this month, they cut interest rates, okay? So on June 3rd, so just a couple of weeks ago, interest rates were 1.5% from the RBA. Currently, they are 1.25%, so they cut it 25 basis points, and they are due to cut it yet again another 25 basis points. So 2 cuts in 1 month. That is not very good for the Australian dollar. So if you guys are wondering why, when you look at the chart like AUD USD, and it's been doing things like trending down like a good majority of this year, it's because the markets have been pricing in rate cuts. All right. Now, it's not a smart thing to really chase sells when the rate cuts actually happen. So I would stay away from chasing trades on the Australian dollar and just stay away from the Australian dollar. Okay. Other than that, this week is pretty light. We don't have a whole lot going on other than Friday. Friday is non-farm payrolls. Okay, the infamous non-farm payrolls. It's pretty crazy how fast this year is flying by. It's really crazy to think that today is the last day in June, or some of you guys, if you're tuning in, it might already even be July where you are. So we are halfway through. We're over halfway through the year. It's pretty crazy to think that. It seems like we just started 2019. So. Yeah, it's pretty crazy to see how time is flying. So yeah, just be aware of what we have going on in the charts, guys, or in terms of the macro, in terms of the fundamentals this week. Okay. So I said I was going to make today really short, all right? And, I don't want to bore you guys to death. I just want to give you guys some really quick value and some value that you guys can use to capitalize in the market, okay? And if you have been following me, okay, even if you're not one of my students on my daily webinars, which I highly recommend you are a part of if you're not already, but if you're not a part of my daily webinars and you are just here for the weekly outlook, even on last week's weekly outlook, I told you guys I mean, not just on last week's outlook. You guys should know that my long-term outlook on Euro USD for the past couple of weeks has been a buy on Euro USD, okay? And we've been getting that. Now, I want to just very quickly recap a trade idea, guys, and I recapped this last week too. So I'm not gonna do the same long recap. But remember this trade idea. This is still valid. Remember, I'm just a long-term trader. A lot of you guys get so like hyped up and all hyped in the day-to-days that you guys like forget setups. Like one week you have like like for example this, like you might look at this and say, okay, this is a great setup and stuff, but then you're going to get too overwhelmed and too clouded and be too noised up with all the different setups, and then you're not going to capitalize on the things that you should capitalize on, like this. So anyways, Euro USD, I'm still expecting this long-term setup. Nothing has changed. So and don't expect it. Like my weekly outlooks are probably going to be pretty similar for the next couple of months, because I'm primarily going to be, I mean, unless other pairs come along, which I'm sure they will, I'm primarily focused on Euro USD right now. This is my long-term, this is my big winning trade for this quarter, okay? And so for Euro USD, I am looking for it to come down to about the 113 area, okay? That also is about the 50% retracement of this little swing right here. So I am still looking for a correction down to 113, okay? So if you are an intraday trader, you might be able to find a little bit of a sell opportunity early on this week. Currently, we're trading at about 113.60, and I think price could go down to 113, so that's about 60 pips to the downside. But that's not the move that I'm looking for. So I think that price could do this, okay? So I'm actually going to just delete this for now, okay? And I'm going to draw a new line, so you guys can see exactly what I think is going to happen, okay? Something exactly like this, okay? Now, I want to point out something. This is the daily chart that we're looking at with Euro USD, okay? The daily chart has been very tight for Euro USD, okay? This is obviously the new weekly candle, or the new daily candle for this week, okay? So that's today. But this candle right here where my cursor is over, and the previous 4 candles to that, this one, this one, this one, and this one, is all last week. So you guys see how last week Euro USD literally didn't move at all. You can look at it on the 4-hour. This range right here, this very tiny 50 pip range on Euro USD, is where the past 5 days have been spent on this pair, okay? So what I'm trying to illustrate and just show you guys is that there really hasn't been any move, okay? So that's why if you have watched last Sunday's, or I guess it wasn't last Sunday because I did it on last Monday, my weekly outlook that I did last Monday, it's going to be very similar to today's outlook because nothing has changed. The market really hasn't moved a whole lot, okay? So Euro USD, in short, look for some short-term downside, but ultimately you should be looking for the move for it to continue moving higher, okay? And this goes for the opposite of the dollar index, okay? I think that the dollar index will rise a little bit, correct a little bit, and then continue moving lower, okay? Now I have a couple other of these pairs. I'll be honest, I didn't uncheck any new pairs. These are all the same pairs that I had marked off with this little red flag next to all these pairs. These are the same pairs that I had last week. So I'm actually going to uncheck gold. I'm not interested in trading gold right now. Although I do think gold overall will continue to correct a little bit as I think Euro USD will correct a little bit lower also. I think gold will go towards the 1350, 1360 area where my cursor is right here. I'll draw it out too with these arrows. I think gold will do something like this and then continue moving up like that. Okay. I think USD Swiss franc will move up a little bit before continuing lower. I think dollar yen, so dollar yen has been following a lot of these moves that I want to happen. You can see a lot of these arrows already, so I can kind of delete some of these arrows. Even all the way back to here I can delete. And I think dollar yen will most likely move up a little bit and then ultimately continue moving lower. So you see how like every pair where I'm looking at, I'm respectively having a little bit of strength in the dollar, the US dollar, and then overall weakness in the US dollar. That's the whole trend with all of this. And USD CAD, well, USD CAD right now, the driver is definitely not the US dollar. The driver is the Canadian dollar, okay? Because there's two drivers to every pair. It depends what pair you're looking at. When you're looking at USD CAD, you have two different drivers that take turns driving the pair, driving that market. Sometimes it's the US dollar, sometimes it's the Canadian dollar. It depends on what is active and what's going on in terms of politics, news, macroeconomics, macro fundamentals, everything, okay? And currently, the Canadian dollar is what's driving price right now, not the US dollar. But I do think USD CAD overall will continue to go lower. You know, beginning of last week, I told you guys my targets on USD CAD was 129. Okay, I told you guys if you want to write that down in your journals. That was at the beginning of last week, okay? Last week we saw some pretty significant downside last week on USD CAD, right? We went down like 130 pips, which considering the move, you know, the range that it has been trading in for over a year now, 130 pips in 1 week is pretty significant. You know, that's a big move. Okay. And then oil, I'm still bullish on oil, okay? But I'm not going to touch oil until I see some more OPEC stuff come out, okay? I noticed there's some OPEC meetings that are going to be starting on Monday. So I'm not going to touch oil until then. Oil is a little bit delicate right now, okay? Let me hit the chat real quick. Let me see what we have in here. Yeah, Team Live, hashtag Team Live, Casa de Nunez, absolutely. Good to see all of you guys on here. Good to see so many people on here live. Holy cow. This is really crazy. Guys, let me know very quickly if there's so many of you guys live. If there is something that you guys want to see, if there's something that you guys want me to talk about, let me know in the chat. This is so cool. I didn't even realize till right now there's so many people live. This is awesome. Happy Sunday, guys. Thank you so much. What's up, guys? What's up? What's up? I see everybody in the chat. Brett, would you mind doing analysis of Euro NZD? Sure, I can do Euro NZD. Let's go ahead. Euro NZD. And let's go ahead and pull up this chart. So let me just also say, before we go into Euro NZD, right now, overall, my bias of, you know, I'm looking when I look at something like Euro USD, I am expecting the US dollar to be the driver of the market right now. So I'm definitely going to have a little bit different analysis between Euro USD and Euro NZD. I'm not really focused too much on the Euro right now. A lot of my focus has been on the Federal Reserve. You know, we just saw this past week Powell come out and talk about imminent rate cuts that are going to be coming out. So the US dollar will continue to weaken. That's pretty much imminent at this point. So, I mean, that's where the free money is in the market, guys. That's where the free money is in the market. For me, when people talk about like uncertainty, yes, there's uncertainty to a degree, but when it becomes situations like this where something is inevitable and a US dollar weakness is just imminently there, it sets us up for what I consider like free money, free opportunity in the market. So don't miss this buy on Euro USD. And I've been telling you guys, you know, it's so funny that just now people are starting to look for buys on Euro USD. You know, once, you know, after the markets start to show this beginning of bullish momentum, now everyone starts to bandwagon Euro USD buys. But guys, if you've been here on the weekly outlooks for literally not last week, not the week before last week, but we're talking 3 weeks, a month ago, those types of weekly outlooks that long ago, I've been long. I've been calling buys on Euro USD since price was at the lows here and everybody was bandwagoning sells at the lows. I was calling buys, and now it's, you know, it's just the way the market is. So don't follow the lead of everybody, and definitely don't buy Euro USD right now, okay? What we see happening at these highs is definitely a distribution period, okay? Basically, if you don't know about the market moves, we go through two different types of periods in between our trending phases, right? Our trending phases are considered markup phases if it's an uptrend, and markdown phases if it's a downtrend. And when we're not in an uptrend or a downtrend, we're in what's either called an accumulation period or a distribution period. And that's where either price is accumulating to continue moving higher, or price is distributing and thinning out to move lower. And right now, price is distributing to move lower. In my opinion, that's what I see, to move lower towards 113. But ultimately, I'm telling you guys, the real money and the real move that this market is going to make is a buy on Euro USD. I almost guarantee it. So definitely capitalize on it, guys. But Euro NZD, Brett, I'm not really a big fan of price action. I'll put it this way. I'm very picky, okay? But I do think that Euro NZD will probably see some more downside this week, okay? And what I'm really looking at, what my eyes are looking at, is I'm seeing back here on the week of June 10th, okay? Because I'm just looking at the weekly chart to determine this downside. The weekly chart or the weekly candle on June 10th, there was a lot of momentum that week. So naturally, like if you take a step back, if you use let's say the replay, and you look at just this here, naturally you would probably expect a week after this to, it to continue moving. So if we click next, you can see that the week afterwards was, okay, that's not the full weekly candle. I guess this is going for each day. So there's the weekly candle close. So it actually kind of price stopped dead in its tracks. And then the week after that, so 2 weeks after that bullish candle, we ended up getting a big bearish candle. And that's where we are today, where we have this, we're live. This weekly candle right here is this week's candle. So what I see is just a really loss of momentum from buyers in the market, and I see a great deal of momentum being picked up back up from sellers in the market. And what's interesting is where the lows of this week ended up at last week. It's significantly lower than the range we were at for a couple of weeks at these highs before we popped off higher. So this is actually a really common scenario, and just to kind of show you guys that I'm not just pulling something out of my ass, I'm actually going to just give you guys some real working examples of a couple trades that I've recently had trade analysis on of exactly this. The first one is it USD CAD? Okay, so the first one is USD CAD, okay? And this was earlier this month with me and my students. And at the time, just to give you guys an idea, this is where USD CAD was on the 4 hour, okay? So we were actually up here where my cursor is, all right? We were on this correction. And very similar scenario that we're looking at on Euro NZD on the daily. There's this kind of consolidation, or just price where price is at. And then we see a strong candle, okay, that pushes momentum out. So again, kind of like using the same visual example, if I was to, go back in time and you just look at this 4 hour candle, well, how are you naturally going to trade this? How is someone naturally going to see this? Well, there's this bull flag, there's this bullish momentum. It's probably going to continue going higher, but check out what happens. It ends up getting stopped in its tracks, and then the candle afterwards, exactly like we just saw in Euro NZD, is bearish and then pulls back down significantly below the lows. And then this is actually where me and my students created a bearish outlook on USD CAD. And then you can see, obviously, from there, the rest is history, right? It continued to drop lower. So I'm going to expect Euro NZD to find some more downside based on this sort of price action, okay? Oh wow, lots of stuff in the chat, guys. Let's see what we got in here. Francisco, hello, good to see you. Good to see you guys. Good to see everybody in here. Everybody is saying hi. Nice to see everyone. Lane, thank you so much. I appreciate the thankfulness. You guys, Awador, everybody, guys, so many kind messages. You guys are seriously awesome. All I ask, guys, just throw a like on this video. That's it. Just like this video for me. That's all I ask. Francisco, you ask, am I trading AUD USD this week? No, I'm actually not going to trade AUD USD this week, and I recommend not trading AUD USD either, or any Australian dollar pairs, and that's because we're going to have that interest rate coming out on Monday. We definitely should see what the RBA says and just their outlook and approach to their monetary policy on Monday. Okay. Simon, do you think gold's move gold move downward during the week is part of the retracement towards 1360, like you were mentioning last week, before resuming its bullish trend and then closing the gap on its way? Absolutely. I I think what you're asking is do I think it sounds like you're just asking, do I think gold is going to go down to 1360? Absolutely. Yeah, I just said I just said that on my analysis. I don't know if you typed that before after I went over it with my analysis with gold, but I'm pretty clear with what I think gold is going to do. I think it's going to go down to 1350, 1360 and then resume its uptrend. Okay. Now, as far as a gap, I don't see a gap. Remember, gaps don't mean anything, right? Gaps are just because of your broker. The gap is just there because the exchange rate changed and your broker's feed that you're connected to stopped, for a period of time, right? But the only reason a gap ever happens is because the broker isn't showing you the feed, right? I get that question a lot with gaps. Like, the markets are still going on the weekends, guys. The markets are still changing on the weekend. But the thing is you just don't see it live. It's changing in the background. And then if it does change significantly over the weekend, when the markets resume or the live feed resumes on Sunday, then you just see the difference, and that's what creates the gap. So if you see a gap, it's just on your broker, but I don't see a gap on this end. Or do I think we'll close the gap in the next 48 hours before the retracement to 1360? I don't really know. Was there a gap on like your 1 hour? Maybe, I don't know. It just depends on the broker you're using. But that's another reason why I definitely highly advise against gap trading, guys. There are some people out there that don't know what the hell they're talking about when it comes to trading, and they'll tell you, oh, when the market opens on Sunday and if there's a gap above the market, sell and it'll close the gap, and if it's below market price, buy and it'll close the gap. And it's, oh man, it's just such easy money, just do it. Well, I'm telling you, you're going to end up learning the hard way if you don't take my advice. And second off, that the whole thing with gaps is that like a perfect example right here, guys, is you guys see that Simon has a gap on his end. I don't have a gap on my end. So like, some brokers will have a gap and some brokers don't have a gap, so like, do they all have gaps? Do they don't actually have gaps? Well, the thing is if you actually think about it, there really is no gaps that are actually happening, right? If the candles could be there, they would. It's just the broker doesn't support its feed to show those candles, okay? Somebody said, I'm trying to ask if it will close the gap after going down 230. Okay, yeah. So I think you understand what I'm talking about with the gap. I don't see a gap, my friend. But guys, I think I will end it there. Guys, this is just so amazing. You guys are all on here. This is awesome. Do me a huge favor. Also, just really do me a huge favor and smash that like button, guys. We almost smashed our like goal. I think we had like 50 likes or something like that on last week's video. So that's so crazy to think that you guys are just so supportive. So I appreciate you guys so much. If you are in the Phoenix area or anywhere around here, Southern California, Texas, Utah, Nevada, anywhere in the area, or even just anywhere, and you want to fly out for the event that I'm doing in August, check out the details to the Eventbrite link in the description below that I'm going to be holding with Louis. But other than that, guys, I hope you all have a safe trading week. And students, I will see you tomorrow on our daily webinar on Monday. And everybody else, I will see you on next week's Weekly Outlook. So stay safe out there and have a great week trading, guys. Take care.